The death of Genghis Khan left the Mongol Empire divided among the families of his 4 legitimate sons, Jochi, Chagatai, Ogedei, and Tolui. The House of Jochi was given the northwest, the House of Chagatai was given the southwest and Central Asian steppe, Tolui, as the youngest son, was given the smallest but symbolic Mongol homelands. Ogedei was chosen as Great Khan. He ruled over all the other brothers and was also given the most valuable lands, China. After the death of Ogedei, however, splits began to show. Ogedei's wife, Toragini, ensured that her son Guyuk was elected Kagan in the Kurultai of 1246, but he died under mysterious circumstances. An alliance between Batu of House Jochi and Sorgatani of House Tolui saw that Sorgatani's son Monka was elected Kagan at the Kurultai of 1251 CE. After discovering that the House of Ogedei and the House of Chagatai had plotted to assassinate the new ruler, Monka and Sorgatani led a purge of these houses, which allowed them to reshape the Mongol Empire. Batu and House Jochi, as supporters of Monka, kept all the northwestern provinces. Houses Chagatai and Ogedei were pushed into a much smaller area. Sorgatani was incredibly smart and perceptive. While Monka ruled over the whole empire as Kagan, key areas were given to his brothers to rule, and she realised that to rule an area as large as the Mongol Empire, her sons would have to reflect the cultures that they ruled. Kublai was educated in Chinese culture and Buddhism. He was given China to rule and expanded Mongol influence there. Arik was educated in Mongol culture and Tengrism, which was the shamanistic religion in the Mongol homelands. He was given the traditional lands of House Tolui. Hulagu was the exception. While he was educated in Islamic culture, he remained, like his brother Kublai, a Buddhist. He was given the Middle East to rule and would greatly expand Mongol influence there. With Monka in charge, the empire remained relatively stable and grew to its largest extent. With the help of Batu, Sorgatani's family remained firmly in control. But when Batu died and was replaced by his Muslim brother Berke, tensions began to grow again. Hulagu had been told to expand the empire in the Middle East, which he did in brutal fashion. He invaded Iraq and completely destroyed it, filling in canals and slaughtering Muslims. When Baghdad resisted, he sacked the most advanced city on earth, throwing so many books into the Tigris that it was said to run black with ink. Hulagu also defeated Syria and Turkey, and in 1259 was preparing to invade Egypt when news from home reached him. Monka Kagan had died, and the most powerful leaders of the Mongol Empire had to return to the homelands to attend another Kurultai. Egypt, like Western Europe before it, was spared by Mongol politics. Kublai was the next in line to become Kagan, and his election at the next Kurultai was a formality. When Kublai heard of Monka's death, he was at war with the Song Chinese. Rather than return home immediately, he decided to finish the war first and return home to hold the Kurultai after. Arik, who thought his Buddhist brother was too Chinese, decided to take advantage of the delay. In a move that would enrage his brothers, Arik held his own Kurultai and, with the support of all the other Mongol houses, was elected Kagan. Kublai was forced to cut his war short with the Song Chinese. He now had to return with his armies to go to war with his own brother. The civil war within the House of Tolui began. Meanwhile, in the west, Berke of House Jochi took advantage of the chaos. Being a Muslim, Berke thought Hulagu went too far in how he destroyed the Middle East.
Hulagu has sacked all the cities of the Muslims. With the help of Allah, I will call him to account for so much innocent blood.
To gain revenge, Berke raised an army and invaded Hulagu's lands, starting a second civil war within the Mongol Empire. Over the next 4 years, Mongols fought Mongols, and the empire began to split into separate entities. The houses of Chagatai and Ogedei fought on both sides, depending on where the advantage was to be found. The only alliance that remained completely stable was the one between Hulagu and Kublai, but because they were separated, they couldn't offer much help to one another. In the Western Civil War, neither side gained much and ended in 2 separate khanates or kingdoms. The territories of Berke and the House of Jochi became known as the Golden Horde, while Hulagu's territories became known as the Ilkhanate. The 2 khanates would continue to fight each other until Hulagu died in 1265. In the east, Kublai eventually defeated Arik in 1264, keeping him as prisoner until he died. Kublai became Kagan, but the empire was so split at this point that none of the other Khans even attended the Kurultai. Kublai controlled the largest part of the empire, but while the other Khans were, in theory, ruled over by the Great Kagan, in reality, they were their own separate countries. Kublai eventually defeated all of Song China. With his affinity for the Chinese way of life, he restyled himself as a Chinese emperor and established the Yuan dynasty, a mix of Mongol-Chinese cultures. The Yuan dynasty would continue until 1368 and is regarded as the end of the Mongol Empire. The Golden Horde, however, continued to terrorise Europe until 1502, and parts of the House of Chagatai ruled in Kazakhstan until 1847. Which house controlled the empire after the death of Genghis Khan in 1227? Which house gained control in 1251? Why did Kublai declare war on Arik? Why did Berke declare war on Hulagu? The northwestern and southwestern territories gained new names during the Mongol Civil War. What were they? Kublai became Khagan in 1260. What would his territories become known as? Until what year did the Mongol Empire last?